everybody. This is our New Year's episode. This is Ramin and I. We also had a break. Ramin just moved recently.
It took forever. We didn't have internet for 2 weeks, and I don't know if you've dealt with AT&T in this fashion before, but it's pretty hilarious the way they say we'll send a technician over from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and if no one shows up, then you can call again and reschedule to have another appointment. So they don't take any responsibility for the ghosting. You just have to wait all day at home, and then they ghost you, and then you have to wait 3 hours. But what sucks is that it's a thing you have to deal with once, and no one else wants to hear you complain about it. Much like the airlines, you know how people are tweeting about United sucks while they're waiting at the airport, and you're scrolling by it like, yeah, fuck you. I'm not at the airport right now. I'm not getting my internet set up. So no one cares. So you don't get any sympathy and you don't get internet. So it blows.
I wonder, top life stressors. I wonder if I can find.
We've discussed this off mic. It's
off mic.
Yeah. It's losing a loved one, losing your job, moving, diarrhea, and COVID, I
guess. According to this, it's death of a loved one, divorce, getting married. So both getting married and getting divorced is number one. Getting married is number three stressor.
So when you propose, you're already guaranteeing one of the two threes.
At least one of the top three stressors, if not both. Starting a new job, that's one of the things that we might talk about this episode as we
starting a new job is higher up than getting fired?
Yeah, I think so. Workplace stressors, financial problems. Number 7 is moving to a new home.
7, man. Okay.
I don't know how they're doing. This is a quick Google search, but I remember hearing it and seeing it in places that it's chronic illness or injury is number 8.
Hell yeah, I'm better than every single chronic injury person. I'm better than you.
Moving's more stressful than a chronic illness or injury. Wow. What's going on with that? I need to. So it says getting a new home. So I think that, I think that's it. This isn't like shifting apartments. I think there's probably more going on to, like getting a mortgage and like deciding the rest of your life. This is where you're going to live for the next few decades. This is where you're going to raise your children. I imagine that's kind of more of what's going on than dealing with internet issues and like bad moving people and them like bumping into a wall.
Actually, my moving people were awesome. All the moving people. Yeah. It's the same guys that are, there's this whole family of handymen that are, I mean, I guess they're not family related. Some of them are brothers, but it's like the same 5 or 6 guys that do all the handyman work for this whole little area of buildings, and they also helped us move on the day.
It's really foolish to not hire movers, and a lot of people don't. I helped my sister move this year, and it was fine, and it was easy and everything. But man, just have someone else lug the crap for you. They're professionals. They've moved pianos around the trickiest of like corners and things without breaking things in the past. You do this like once every 5 years tops. Like, have professionals.
And they're stronger than you.
Like stronger than you.
You don't realize certain things like how heavy books are. Like you think that, I can put all my books in this box, it'll be good. But you put like 12 books in a box and that's it. You're done. That you got to start another box. Paper just gets heavy so quick.
Oh yeah. I by the way, I'm gonna get my champagne going here. Let's get this. Here we go.
Let's get this party started.
Ooh. I was worried I was just about to explode champagne all over the microphone, and I didn't. So
Would have been a good TikTok.
That's a big win. We should. That's a New Year's resolution for Mom is to start doing a TikTok thing.
Yeah.
People have no idea what a pain in the ass all of this stuff is, because it's like, you just listen to the podcast. That's awesome if you found it, but to get new people to find it, we need to create highlights, and paying an editor. Thanks, Patreon people, for making this all possible. But even just switch, everything has different dimensions and different formats, so there's a new thing that needs to be done, and we our podcast is visually the best that there is, the best, hands down.
Numero
and because
uno.
of that, it takes a little more than just like the Zoom conversation things or whatever. It just takes a bit more to put everything together. To put together a whole other thing for a whole other platform is a whole other pain in the ass. But we because we've been getting more and more Patreon support, we're able to continue to put more stuff into things like that, so we can build a bigger audience, so we can do things like tour. And we're so excited about this show. It's been a good year.
Oh yeah, it's been the best year. I forget that this happened in 2021 because the narrative in my head is I didn't do anything 2021. It's it's a blank, stupid, garbage year, and it's gray, and like you poke it and it's stupid. But then I'm like, oh yeah, we started Mum, and Mum's the greatest. I didn't have Mum before. What did I do? Actually, I've been terrible about my other podcasts, and that's because of the moving and the internet and the travel and stuff. But no, I've neglected my other podcasts because of not because of this one, but
this is a lot of work. We do. Yeah. You make 5 art pieces a month for this show because we have a bonus full episode. We record twice a week on average because we have a bonus episode every single week. And then like changing things for the TVs, changing things. We might spruce things up for New Year's or whatever, put a little 2022 on the TVs. We don't know yet. And thinking of things of like making the Christmas thing. This is, we put a lot of work into this show. It's crushing it. What's your favorite part of some of like the background stuff? I very much enjoy doing some of the research. Sometimes I freak out that there's often, ever since I started this show or restarted the show, I'm a really good sleeper, and I sometimes just wake up in the middle of the night, just panicked that I'm out of things to say. It happens like 3 times a month, probably.
No, our problem is we can't put a lid on it. Like we say, like, let's do a pandemic episode, and then it's like pandemic part 6, the episode. Yeah. And then it parallels the real world a little bit. It's interesting that we're heading into 2022, and I'm sure this tweet has been made already, but that it's, 2020 as well. We're revisiting 2020
I didn't think about that.
Because 2021 was like, oh, it's kind of over. It's kind of going away, but beware. But it's kind of over. Let's go start Coachella again and kiss everyone on the mouth. And now it's like, okay, Bill Gates isn't going to visit his kids this year. You shouldn't either.
Yeah, I was fortunate in some ways in that I, because of Here We Are, talked with people back in April that were like, yeah, I'd count on another like big wave this winter, and things are so up in the air. We don't know how about like vaccine hesitancy. We still don't know how effective it's going. What variants are going to pop up, and they were pretty in line with a lot of things other than the summer was the summer was even better than I would have predicted it was going to be.
Oh
And
yeah, summer of hot love.
Yeah. And, but yeah, so we've been planning this whole time to maybe do a Mind Under Matter tour starting in after the first year anniversary, which is in April, and maybe putting together a Mind Under Matter book with all the art and everything. So we got a bunch of stuff that we're working on.
I want by 2025 or 2026, I want an official mum day. Like the mayor has to actually have a key and a hammer and a ribbon and like an official thing. Like, I hereby declare in the city of Los Angeles to be official mum day.
We can get some stupid little town to do it. For sure.
You think your town will do it? I think
Maybe.
LA might be a tall order.
I bet I could get. So I'm originally from. It's called Onalaska, Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm. I've had mugs set there,
and it's outside of a larger city called La Crosse, and La Crosse, that might be ambitious, but maybe Onalaska would have a Mind Under Matter day. It'd be worth exploring. That would be funny.
Yeah, doesn't like Dave Chappelle have a day or something?
Does he?
I'll be. He is a more notable figure than both of us multiplied by each other, but still
times 1,000,
yeah,
a million. But yeah, but there's a lot of goofy ways to get like keys to the city and stuff. I didn't think about that. That's what I like about this show, is that we get to have just ridiculous. Like if you're on YouTube right now, we got to get dressed up again. I'm wearing gold suspenders. I've never worn suspenders in my life before. Don't wear them with gym shorts is what I found out. I just have a wedgie right now. I have a wedgie for an entire episode. And I found out that these glasses without the 2022 are actually the kind of frames that I would want with
those
glasses.
Are like the hippest 2022 frames right now. That's like what Neil Brennan is going to have in 2 years.
And I think I actually am not hating this tiara. I think it like matches the beard really well, like brings kind of some symmetry. As above, so below.
Oh yeah, you got the bronze and the silver.
We got our kazoos. We got kazoos are a lot of.
I got dollar store ones. They're just called horns.
Oh yeah, nice. There's a lot of things that you should never let children know are a thing that exist, because they'll just use them endlessly. And that's one of them. I remember kazoos and these sorts of things being a very big part of my childhood. And then you grow up and you're like, wow, how do parents not kill children when they make... My parents bought me a bird call once. I wanted a bird call. It's just like a piece of metal that squeaks together like a chalkboard almost. So just.
Were you going like for a particular type of bird to mate with? Just any bird?
I would have mated with any bird. Yeah. At that age, I didn't know any better. I have much more refined tastes now. I think a hummingbird is what I would try to hook up with.
Yeah,
they're so impressive. I mean, what kind of bird are you trying to mate with?
Let's see. You already picked hummingbird. Let's see. I got to go the other way. I'll do bald eagle.
Ooh, bald eagle is good. So majestic.
Yeah. Oh, with the suspenders. Do you remember that Seinfeld where he's trying to bomb because he wants Kenny Banya after him to have a bad set, so he intentionally has a bad set, so he kills the energy of the room, and he starts the episode or he starts the set with "Who's ready to laugh?" and then snaps the suspenders.
Suspenders are bonkers. That's if you want to hold your pants up in I guess they make fancy belts and stuff still, but I don't know. Suspenders are, I think they used to be like kind of commonplace, and now it's like, now you wear suspenders if you got like a wacky mustache, and it's like, oh, this guy. Okay.
Yeah, you can juggle and unicycle and not have your wife return your phone calls or something.
Do you have any weird stuff like that you can do?
Like juggling or something?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm a okay, or actually in the large scheme of things, I'm probably not a okay juggler. I can juggle 3 and I can juggle 2 objects with one hand.
Yeah.
I can
too.
twirl a basketball on my finger.
Ooh, I can't do that.
I can yo-yo forward and backwards, make it walk a little bit. I can blow smoke rings. I can blow like little O's.
Yeah.
Can you do that? You've got to be able to do that. Yeah, you can probably do
forgot,
balloon animals with smoke.
Yeah.
Other than that, what useless talents do I have?
It's amazing when it seems like people just get, it's a type of personality that's just incredible at odd coordination, useless talent. It's like, if someone's really good with a yo-yo, they got some other weird thing going. It's not just yo-yo that they're good at. They can also do some other like bizarre sort of hidden talent that I don't know what drives that.
Yeah, it's such a schoolyard thing. Like, so much of that development has to take place on the schoolyard, because I'm not going to really learn yo-yo right now. Like, who am I impressing?
Yeah, you gotta frequent. Well, I started learning poi a little bit because I was like, well, I'm doing more of these like hippie festivals and stuff.
What's poi? Is that the sticks?
The spinning ball things.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, I haven't done it forever.
That would be a fun Squid Game type of show with like those types of activities.
Yeah. Do you have so New Year's? Do you do New Year's resolutions ever?
Man, last time I did, I can't even remember. It feels like it was 2013 or something, and I remember them as being very like, comedy goal oriented. It's like, okay, I did the Late Late Show. Now this year I'm going to try to get Letterman, and I'm going to try to do a gala show at JFL, and I'm going to try to headline on the weekend, not just on a Wednesday, because they can't have the real headliners come in for a Wednesday, like stuff like that. And now, since I've moved into this new place, it's interesting. All my goals are so small. Like, I just want that box to have all its objects be out of it. Yeah. That's my goal, is to not have a room full of boxes with wires hanging out of it. And it's kind of cool. It teaches you that that's like what you really want. Because then when my room is in perfect order, then I have like these big Elon Musk goals of going to Mars and whatnot. And now it's like, no, I just want to save Earth. I want to make sure Earth is okay.
Yeah. Oh man, such a great metaphor. Yeah, my goal to make smaller goals. That's a good one.
Yeah. How fine is your razor? How much smaller can you make the goal?
I mean, definitely. I'm just such an ideas guy, so not a doer. I mean, I get stuff done. I mean,
you're a doer, not by your own standards compared to your father or something.
Yeah,
but like, I've seen you do 200 city tours in a year. That's and true. You're like hugging you're bringing the projector with you. You're booking individual guests for each city, and you're actually there plugging in all this shit, and you're like unplugging it when it's done. That's doing.
That's true.
I know that is pre-pandemic, but whatever. Everything's pre-pandemic.
Yeah. I guess it's like reflecting on, maybe we both have that same. That must be a pretty common thing to just have the idea. in terms, I've been doing these guided ruminations, and putting them on Patreon, and um, I've just also been learning more about ruminating, and then just doing the opposite for guided ruminations. But one that's applicable to this is that we tend to look at something that we did or didn't do or whatever, and then we generalize way too much. So rather than saying like, oh, I didn't get that thing in the mail out, or I didn't pay that ticket or whatever this week or yesterday or whatever, like I said I was going to, personality differences, of course, individual differences, but oftentimes, especially people that have depression issues, tend to really generalize, tend to be like, oh, I never get any of that. I never ship the thing out. So then not only do you generalize, but then it becomes a part of your identity. Like you identify with that person that doesn't ever, you're a package that never gets sent out. That's what you are. And whereas if you can really home in to what like the specific thing is that day that you didn't do right or whatever that you wanted to, and just isolate that and be like, yeah, that's what you didn't accomplish. That's where you like failed today in this specific incident. It's an easier, a much more manageable thing than a continuation of this story of the failure of your whole life.
Yeah. And it's another form of, I'm stealing this from that book. Have you heard of that book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck?
I have, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, it's one of those annoying, airport books, and I resisted it for many, many years. I don't know what made me want to pick it up, because I started reading it, and the way that this guy writes, it's so annoying. I had to put it down. Like, this is so dumb. He's like, you got to come to terms with certain fucking things. Like, so what if you never visit Mars or squeeze Jennifer Aniston's tits? And the fact that he uses those as examples, and it's got so much like, badass vernacular. And it would be funny reading it as Jennifer Aniston to just be like, well, who cares?
I love these fucking nerds that like put their collar up like the fucking bad boys of self-improvement and shit.
Oh, but
and that's, maybe it's because I'm sort of do that same thing, but it's like, have a fucking sense of humor about yourself. Here's what they don't want you to know. I mean, maybe it's because my default is like cynicism and whatnot. I don't know, but whereas I just don't like aggression. The aggressive bro, like I don't give a fuck it's
very alpha
thing that I don't relate to.
But the book, like, aside from all those annoyances that I said, like, it's got so many great nuggets in it, and that's why I dove back in, because I'm like, I'm hunting for nuggets, and when it gets to be that style of writing that I personally find annoying, then I'm just going to skip over it and get there. And one of the things that stuck out to me was that there was two forms of narcissism, or two forms of entitlement, and the first is, I am awesome. I'm better than everyone else, therefore I deserve special treatment. And then the second one is, I suck, I'm the worst, everyone's better than me, therefore I deserve special treatment. So both of them are still the, entitlement, narcissism, telling yourself that you're the best, or that, I never do anything right, everything I do is stupid, I'm a screw up in every single angle. So it's the exact same thing, but the polarity is reversed. So it's good to,
interesting.
To call yourself out on it.
Yeah. It's
and
amazing.
The book is orange too, so it catches your eye. It's an orange book.
Orange is a great color. One of my faves. Oh, by the way, open loop in my head so I can close this tab.
Yeah, close it.
Number 9, stressors, retirement. So just everything, all of life. It's basically just all of life is huge, unavoidable stressors. And then the number 10 is transitioning to adulthood.
Oh, I thought it was
How would you avoid any of this? Okay, death of a loved one. Well, that's going to happen. You could not love people.
Done.
Separation or divorce. So don't get married. You knock out two. There you go. You don't love someone, then you also don't have to get married or divorced. So that's like the top 3 stressors. Everyone's been saying love, love, love all the time. Now the top 3 stressors all connected to love. Starting a new job. I mean,
yeah, the price of love is grief. That's what they say. So anything
right.
you love, you are going to lose it unless you die first, in which you maybe aren't aware you lost all of it.
It's 4 being starting a new job and 5 being a workplace stressor is like, so it's like starting a new job and keeping a job are like neck and neck for stressful situations to find yourself in. Finances
to quote
make sense.
the FUT book again, the FUT book also said that your dream job is the job you stress over. The dream partner, your dream husband or wife or whatever, is the person you argue with, and your dream home is the home that you're constantly having to fix or improve. So no matter what, you're still ending up with a thing that requires attention, maintenance, etc. And not that the fights are going to be bad, but it's just like you have your dream person, and then it's like, well, that's just, you're eventually going to have little disagreements or whatever. So that's just how it happens.
I've been trying to, like within all of those things, all of those stressors and everything that you just said, that's just the downside of like otherwise really great things. Even the death of a loved one is just like, you got to have this amazing person in your life for so long.
Yeah. And the funeral, you get to see the other friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
They say at your, I'm not married, like I haven't had a wedding, but how they say the wedding is the only time you ever see all your friends and family in one place ever. And then the second time you ever see, they're all gathered again, is at your funeral.
Yeah.
Or if you're very popular and maybe you have a concert somewhere and they're all in town. But I don't think they wrote that one down.
I've been trying to think about, this is really relevant to our conversation, so I've been in a pretty good space over the last few weeks, which is important for me to get out there because I love when I get in a dark place, I love blabbing about it. And I don't want people to think that it's just like that's how I am constantly. I just share the roller coaster ride. That's actually one of the things I learned recently as bipolar people, they experience like as much depression. Like if they just rate their year of depression, they experience as much depression as someone with severe depression or whatever. They'll say like it's as bad. But when they're actually experiencing depression, it's way worse than actual depressed people. And I was just thinking about
because they know the highs more.
Maybe
because they experience a bigger delta, like because they've gone from the manic to the
and I think you just like crash harder too, and I was just like, wow, it's like the worst fucking superpower imaginable to just like go down so much further.
Are you're diagnosed bipolar, right? That's the official.
People are concerned that I'm not on medication, actually, which I don't think that I need. But I'm in a place right now where I'm doing so well, where it's like, this is the worst part, is that when I feel really good, like I'm exercising a bunch. I started a workout. Shout out to one of our Patreon members has
The Rock.
He's hedonic health. He's a personal trainer, and he offered. He's one of the guys we did a bonus Mind Under Art for, and he offered some. He went on Discord and offered 3 the first 3 people or whatever a free month and
Free
all
month
this
of
other
what?
stuff.
Advice?
Yeah, like I think he focuses mostly on nutrition stuff.
Cool.
But I just want to get a good exercise. So I've been going to the gym regularly because of having the account and having someone like set up a thing that I don't need to think about and just follow the instructions without having to like talk myself into like working it out.
Do you have to wear a mask there? What's the mask situation?
Well, the gym that I'm at, I do. I don't wear a mask when I'm playing pickleball. But that'll probably change. I was actually thinking about that today because everything's popping off.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers have been where I'm at. The numbers have been really low through all of the pandemic. Because it's like Midwestern people that kind of like, well, it's not small. It's just like, they kind of will just follow along. They'll kind of do the things that they're supposed to do and stuff. And they don't have as much. Have we talked about cultures of honor?
No,
on
I don't
show?
think so.
So there's this, it's a really interesting thing. They're from, it's the way in which different cultures emerge. So it's somewhere like Scotland or something like that, some time ago where you would have farmers and then you'd have like sheep herders and stuff. And you would have, so if you're a farmer, the people that could come in and take something from your land is like a different kind of threat than someone taking like you're moving with your herd and someone like potentially taking your entire herd. And these herders, because of that, kind of evolved this cultural sort of reflexive, they're called cultures of honor, where they take offense to things very quickly and they're quick to like really punish and really advertise that they will not stand for any bullshit. They need like more of a front, and they need to incur more of a cost on being taken advantage of from people. Well, a lot of these people ended up becoming ranchers in the South when they came to America. And so when we hear about like Southern pride and stuff, that's actually an evolved like historical leftover from these herders in Europe. And there's this testable, they do these amazing tests. Like they have someone walk by and like intentionally bump into somebody and then call them an asshole. And they do this in different parts of the country. And if you do that in the South, wow, like that shit will not fly.
What's the most common retort? Like they tried to get a fight going, or it's
yeah. They'll get a fight going. And so it's this really interesting thing. Whereas Midwestern people aren't from the same regions. I think I'm pretty sure it's like Scottish, and I should really just look it up quick. Cultures of honor. It's fucking fascinating to look into.
You ever see that little trope that's, I think it's England is, I will die for honor. And then France is, I will die for love. And then Russian is, I will die.
That's fun.
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of them, and I forget what the countries were. But I love those little country jokes, making fun of that Italians speak with their hands, or that French people don't wear deodorant, or whatever, all that stuff.
Yesterday, I was thinking about limericks, like Irish limericks, and like when that took off, I was thinking about how that was like sort of the first form of rap in a way. It was like... It was something
people
kind of...
love going to where rap really started from. Like some people say like it's Grandmaster Flash.
I just fall into some trope?
No, it's good, but it's like they'll say like Grandmaster Flash invented it. No. Bob Dylan invented it with Subterranean Homesick Blues. And it's like, no, it goes back to Ireland. Ireland invented rap.
I mean, I wasn't serious when I said that, because it would be weird if like they proved that rap started with Irish limericks.
It kind of did. And the same way that, when they say that, or the blues scale in guitar or something, when you listen to it, it's actually the same as the Celtic scale. It's like maybe just one more note added, but the feel of it is different. But it's the Irish, Celtic, and the blues are very similar.
Yeah, I see. Oh, so this is interesting. So these cultures of honor, like the gist of it is, these were kind of like lawless environments. So you didn't have government protecting you. You were roaming as a herder. So it was kind of on you to develop and like, a really good way to deter threat is with the threat of violence, or, two eyes for an eye type of a threat will make you potentially less likely to lose an eye. Were people just scooping people's eyes out back? But anyhow, in the Midwest, tying this back to masks, there hasn't been as much. I mean, Michigan's a good example of
hasn't been as much cases.
No, hasn't been as much pushback in some regions. So some people, areas that are real rednecky, definitely just will not listen. Hadn't listened to any of it the whole time. Like there's areas that never once wore a mask, but areas in the Midwest where masks were a social norm, it wasn't that big of a deal to get people to follow along with the social norm. But then the CDC said you don't need a mask if you're vaccinated, just like the biggest misstep of the year by a long shot, in my opinion.
I heard go ahead. I don't want to interrupt that train of thought. No. Even though I interrupted it. I forgot that the whole, the start of the show was about interruptions. I forgot that that's okay sometimes. But I was listening to NPR, because Catherine was in the car too. Otherwise, it would have probably been Come Town or something. But we're listening to NPR, and there was this guy talking about, I'm going to get this town jabbed, I'm going to get the city jabbed, and I'm going to get the whole nation jabbed. Everybody's getting a jab. And I'm just thinking, can you not say jab? Can we not?
I know.
Can we not use jab?
It's like people are like the spike protein. Like, oh, you gotta stop using these. There's a lot of people aren't really mindful of the availability heuristic, which is that the more easily that you can mentally imagine something in your mind's eye, that factors into your estimation of statistical representation. So one of my favorites, I'd be surprised if I haven't shared this on the show before, but one of my favorites is they ask people about the flight insurance. Did I tell you about that one?
That's vaguely familiar, but for the people just tuning in,
we'll do it again.
Yeah, let's play the hits.
It's amazing, and it makes so much sense. And by the way, none of this is like, oh, these stupid people. Like, this is just, everyone does this. It's super helpful to be aware of these biases, because you can catch yourself doing them and hope to avoid them. But there's a cognitive bias is a really predictable, systematic error that your brain will make for lots of reasonable ways. Some of it's a lack of information, some of it's because of evolutionary drives, what have you. But the availability heuristic, I'm sure we all fall for this, and I do all the time, which is you offer someone flight insurance, and you're like, if this plane goes down for any reason, your family gets $1 million. Will you purchase this for $30-$50, whatever they offered? And they got however many, not that many people signed up for it. And then they go, if this plane is
hijacked by terrorists, Muslim terrorists that look like this. Picture it.
Exactly. Your family gets $1 million, and way more people sign up for that, even though that coverage covers the first condition also covers terrorism. Mm-hmm. The second one doesn't offer near as much coverage, but more people buy it. And we do this with this. This is why calling it the fucking jab, talking the spike protein, it's just, you just picture a thing ripping through your body. And
I don't want to get jabbed if it cures AIDS. But I'll get the AIDS vaccine. But I'm not going to, it's like, do you want to get the AIDS jab? No, but you have AIDS. It's ravaging through your system. I'm like, no, I'll just record one last tune like Freddie did and then clock out.
And also, scarcity happens too. So it's kind of like, the idea of like a vaccine injury or something like that is like, it's like a shark attack simply because it happens so little, it's over. When it does happen, it's so rare that it really sticks out in your mind, which is like every anti-vaxxer happens to know 10 people that like got the vaccine and are now in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Trust the science. Trust the science. Everybody's a cockatoo now. Everybody's a cockatoo. Do the research. I love that the Jim Brewer bit is just doing the like childish voice, like to reason. Like everything he's saying is reasonable, but he's putting the voice on it.
Oh my gosh.
Listen to people that went to medical school.
Now that Omicron's popping up, like I saw Eric Weinstein trying to walk back some of his stuff and retweeting like sensible COVID advice and stuff. And one of his things he said
I know Brett Weinstein was more, against the vax,
Eric wasn't
but
as hard.
Was
hard in the paint, but they both like rushed to defense. But
wines are gonna sting.
Mm-hmm. But I heard my favorite.
I don't even know what that means.
Thing. Which was he tweeted, he was like, well, it's the establishment. You want to fix this misinformation. It's the establishment's problem for giving these people the credentials in the first place. So basically, the cherry-picked credential, foot doctor or whatever that you found to say something like bad about the vaccine that you found, and then like put them on whatever big podcast, and now everyone references them. Now to walk things back, they're like, it's the establishment's fault we were spreading disinformation about the establishment.
But also that is not that that's good to backtrack if you're just doing it now, but it makes me think, because my brother's a prof, and I used to think that, I mean, he's a very good prof and stuff. This doesn't apply to him, but it's a thing that he was telling me about, because I used to think that it was really hard to get PhDs, but it's a joke within the community that, in a lot of colleges, if you strap a horse to the PhD program, then in 4 years it'll have a doctorate. Like a lot of schools, they're more about just pushing people through the system and make sure they have the credentials.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and
I bet I could prove them wrong, though. I bet I would be that horse that's still strapped in.
Yeah. I don't think I would be a very good student. I don't like anything that structured. Anyway, got off on a tangent, which, by the way, I asked people recently on Patreon for some of their favorite episodes and things, and people really liked some of the bonus episodes and stuff. But one person, speaking of our tangents, Mindy, shout out to Mindy,
Kaling?
says,
Holy shit. I knew we had high profile guests, but that's crazy.
yeah, I know. She's a great visionary on the Patreon page. She said, even though you guys have themes, particular episodes don't jump out at me more than others. I like the tangents and randomness, and have been working it through the bonus episodes and like the funny outfits and styles. So look at that. All the work that I've been putting into like constructing these elaborate themes, like researching a thing. And it's like, I like when you guys don't do that. when you just rip. Fair enough.
You can't go off the rails if there are not rails to go off.
That's true.
So thank you for installing those rails and like hammering those giant rusty nails into the hard ground, whatever ground is made of, rock, iron with some calcium deposits or whatever. What is rock? I know it's rock, but like what are the molecules in rock? Well, it's a number of things. You know, rocks are highly variable substances. A lot of people say they are the most variable substance next to dogs. I have a rock right here. Okay.
I feel like you're getting better at sciencing. You started great, and I feel like your sciencing impression has only gotten better. That's one thing I've been reflecting on. So first of all, in all of we opened the podcast back in April by kind of talking about New Year's resolutions and goal setting, because the podcast was new and because I forwarded the idea that I think people screw up by trying to make a New Year's resolution, and by around that time is when most have failed their overly ambitious, like
January
unmeasurable
12th.
vague things. Yeah.
January 12th is the worst day. You're slow and just.
Yeah. But we kind of, and so we talked about the things that you're not supposed to do, which is like do too much at once. You know, we've talked about small incremental gains a bunch on this show. I already talked about setting smaller, we both mentioned setting smaller goals already in this episode. And for all of that advice, we still were able to. We started this podcast, other than the first couple episodes, we didn't have our studios the way that we wanted exactly for like the first two.
Yeah, we were embryos.
We finished with we started with like a finished product from Jump Street. That's gotten better and improved and involved in everything a little bit. But originally we were like, do we just start recording these and then add little bits of things like every few months or whatever? And we had a whole product right from Jump Street, and complete with all these bonus episodes and everything else that I feel like in terms of Mind Under Matter, we've crushed it pretty hard in terms of, at least in terms of the product that we're.
Strongly agree. I can't think of a stronger product. And I've tried everything, Tide, Apple products, you name it. We're number one.
So we don't have as many listeners as I'd like, which is always going to be a problem, but we kind of plateaued in increase of listenership over the last few months.
Oh shit.
I think people are not plateaued. I just haven't done any. I haven't gone on other people's podcasts to promote or anything lately.
Me neither. And that was because of choice, not because no one asked.
We have, I would say we've exceeded expectations in the reviews that we've gotten on iTunes.
Yes.
We're under the overall of what we want in terms of Patreon followers. We were hoping to add $100 worth of membership per episode, which was ambitious. and we still might get that by year's end, because that's the goal. Because now that we have more listeners, there's more potential to snowball. There's more potential for algorithms to kick it out there to more people. But our Patreons that we have contribute more than what I would have anticipated early on. They're super generous and awesome. So we're actually doing like halfway decent, and that our editor is fully paid for, and a couple of the other things we have a little bit left over to make some other improvements and stuff. And so I'd say it's just been like a pretty successful, plus we've just generated a bunch of other ideas. We've just been putting out an awesome show for a long time.
Yeah, and it's not even a year old, and it feels like it's older than a year for sure.
Spotify released all these like, what's your most listened to music and blah, blah, blah. And Mind Under Matter was some people's most listened to podcast of the year. And It didn't start until April, which is awesome. So anyway, it's been a fantastic year. We've been really happy and fortunate for all the listeners, all the people that found us and spread the word and everything else. Getting to meet some of you guys on game nights and stuff has been super fun.
I don't think we've had a bad listener. I think all our listeners are like Spartan, awesome, badass, perfect people.
I bet we got some stinkers out there.
Yeah, probably.
We probably have a few. We probably just don't see them. They probably know that they stink.
Yeah, I wonder who our worst listener is, because it's not even like one. I'm not saying they're serial killer, pedophile, etc., but like someone has to be the worst. Someone has to be the worst person of all the listeners. And I wonder what they've done and what they think about.
Yeah, I have game nights also. I went and did this Meet Delic thing. I met a couple listeners there, and I was like, oh, good. Awesome. This is an awesome person that listens regularly to our show, right? And but there has to be, I can't wait till we do a tour and meet someone that's like, that was a doozy.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting me out of that that situation.
Oh, we gotta go take pictures now, and then there's no one else waiting. We just do it Tig Notaro style and just hide in the green room until all the audience is gone.
Yeah.
I don't know if she still does that, but I remember that was the first person I saw. Normally comedians are either, I'll go meet people, or they're way too about it. Like they're like hunting people down to be like, oh, you want a picture? You want a picture? But she was like, I don't want to see anybody. I'm going to hide here. And then when the last person has left, I will reemerge.
Yeah. It's not a bad move.
No.
I like meeting people. It'll be nice to meet some MUMmies.
Me too.
So that's a big goal for 2022 for us. There's like little things that like we want to have better cameras, and that's not just because we want for people that watch this on like their big screen TV or whatever and have it on in the background. We want it to be like slightly better quality. Right now, our editor bends over backwards to adjust a million things so that we can put out such a quality product. But
yeah, he hand renders this to 1080p from like 240p.
Yeah, our Ps are so low, and then he takes them up to high Ps. But also we want to be able to record, have nice cameras that we can then bring with us when we tour, which is a big goal, to get clips. And maybe so our idea is that I think the format for our tour is what I was thinking was, so we take turns doing stand up. If we both do 20, 25 minutes or whatever. If I open the show, explain whatever, and then do stand up, and then you come on, but we have put out like suggestions for things to talk about or whatever. And then during that time, when you're on stage, people uh, the wait staff or whatever collects them, and then I can look through them when you're on stage and pick some of the better ones as topics. And then the second half of the show is just us doing this thing that we do and taking questions from the audience.
So you're not going to watch my set every night?
No.
You're not going to watch the same jokes
from
2014?
It's such a fortunate, because not only are you a fantastic stand-up comedian, but our styles also, like, we're both sort of weird.
Yeah.
We're both sort of unconventional. Our styles match well together. And so it'll be.
You know what I've wanted to try, but maybe this hasn't been done already, but putting together a show of the most similar people you can think of, whether they're storytellers very similar or one-liner weirdos very similar, like try to find the closest things together and see if it still works. Like if you had, I don't know, like a kind of low energy Todd Barry person followed by,
and then you have like Dan Mintz or something like that after it. You might not know Dan Mintz.
That's familiar.
More of a writer. He's more of a writer. He's on like Bob's Burgers and stuff, but he was a really good stand-up when he did it.
Someone did something kind of like it, but instead of styles, it was with appearance. I think the show was called We Are Not the Same Person. And so it would have like 6 different Asian comics that kind of had the same look, and they're like, or like 6 different Indian or redheads or just boring white guy sort of thing. I thought that was a fun play on.
Well, I started as a short joke, absurdist and like shock value, and also like kind of dirty, but like in a aw shucks Midwestern, like shouldn't be getting away with saying these things.
I'm like your grandson. I'm like,
yeah. And when I started headlining, it was just 45 minutes of that, or an hour of that was just too much for people. It didn't matter how good the jokes were or whatever. It was just, I'd hit like the 30-minute mark, and that got to be it just started becoming too predictable. And that's when I started becoming more of a storyteller, so I could integrate. I was like, I just got to keep the audience off balance a little more for this to work. And so, yeah, I think an all storyteller show would be fine. I think an all one-liner show would be a tough sell.
Mm-hmm.
You got to find people that just love hearing one-liners, like for an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Or you'd have to be the perfect amount of high, drunk, whatever to sustain that. But
right.
Yeah, I don't think stand-up can work for more than 2 hours. I've seen Louis C.K. and do like more than 2 hours. And I remember thinking, even though I was really enjoying it the whole time, like, oh, this is kind of, it should be wrapping up soon. We're like at the 2 hour mark now.
Yeah.
And I know that Chappelle and Dane Cook held records for doing 9 hour sets, but I think the sweet spot is an hour and a half.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's our goal for 2022. Get this on tour. So, because I also asked about New Year's resolutions when we asked, some people asked about like, want us to talk about starting new businesses and stuff. We have an upcoming episode where we're going to do one of those like kind of career placement assessment things that we're going to be doing like kind of for the start of the year, because I thought this would be a lot of people are thinking about making changes in careers and stuff. And so within that, what was I going to say? Yeah. So anyhow, that's,
you lost it.
I lost it a little bit.
You lost basically the thought?
People wanted to hear about career change and so that's one of the MUM. I have very different individual goals, and then I have MUM goals. And do you have any MUM goals by chance?
I mean, aside from the stuff we've already talked about, like there's the various products side of things, like get the book done, have a calendar, get like a cool puzzle made, like little objects. That's kind of fun. The Ruminations app is kind of in that family too. That's also a product.
Oh, you just dropped a secret.
The what? Oh, we
you
haven't
just dropped a secret.
We haven't talked about that on air?
I haven't told any. No, I haven't told anyone.
Can we edit that out?
It's fine.
Can we edit that out?
No.
Oh. Maybe that's like good. That's like good that it's dropped like that.
Yeah, we're working on a rumination app at the a guided rumination app at the moment. So that's a big goal for 2022.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're okay with that because I don't know.
Totally.
Maybe it's good to. Yeah.
It's good to have a teaser. People be excited. You never want someone to like get a jump on it, but we already have. Like or whatever, but it's like no one's going to. Plus, no, yeah. Anyway, we've already made some progress in hashing it out and stuff. So if you go on Patreon, you can hear a guided rumination every week. By the way, which is just like a way of testing out some of the things that we were doing. And I started. It was mostly just me. Talking about how I think it's never going to work. And it's awesome. And you know what I love is cracking myself up. And I don't do it nearly enough.
That's
Man,
good. That's good because some people crack themselves up too much.
Oh, that's
and I'm not saying
worst.
like
when people just amuse themselves so much and they're just delighted by and they
Pete
laugh
Holmes
the
gets a pass. I think Pete Holmes is okay. To do that. There's a charm to the amount he cracks himself up.
Right. Well, it's like as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to be around people that are always on. But like Jimmy Pardo is I think he's fantastic.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of always on, and I normally find people that are always on to be annoying. But you're my favorite person to talk to. So
oh hell yeah,
there's always exceptions to the rule, But anyway, it's like for me, my favorite thing about stand-up has always been the moment when I like think of a thing, and usually when it comes along with like I shouldn't say that, like a naughty schoolboy kind of like I'm still such a child in that way of like that I crack myself up about like really juvenile, naughty, like button pushing things. And I don't even like performing because it's not that I don't like performing because I like being good at a thing, but I don't like. It does nothing for me to hear people like laugh at my joke,
really?
other than to be like, okay, that worked. That timing worked in the way that it was supposed to, and that wording worked, and I could maybe change that to make it hit like different, or it didn't come across the way that I meant.
You don't like the sustain. You don't like the sustained laugh from this one to this one to this one, and to lose them and to get them back a little bit. The validation.
I like the losing them and getting them back a little bit. The validation does very, very, very little for me.
Interesting. Well, I'll eat whatever you're not going to eat then, because I could use some more. I need some more Val.
It's my favorite thing's always been me like alone in a car. Thought occurs to me that makes me giggle, and everything after that, it's just a disappointment. Even when it kills, I love when a new joke works well, because I'm like, all right, like I did like 20 minutes of new stuff at this Meatdelic conference, at least, probably way more than that actually. I've had like 3 hours of stage time over 2 days. My first time back in a year and a half, like. So,
some of that was announcing people, right?
And riffing off of what they were saying and stuff. But I had like 15 minutes in between each speaker, but I had at least 20 minutes of new actual material that I'd written, not just like riffing or whatever, but 20 minutes of material. And I enjoyed that. When I did a new joke and it worked, and 100% of my new jokes worked, which is fucking phenomenal. That never happens. I enjoyed that. And like when an old joke worked, that does nothing. That does nothing for me. Like the actual just like laughter of like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah.
It's just
fourth time you tell it, it's done.
Yeah, it's just how it's supposed to go. I'm not like, woo, I can't wait for this laughter again. Like that, it just doesn't move the needle. So anyway, these like guided ruminations that I've been recording, I sometimes like when I'm doing it, because I go to like some really dark, cynical, but like it's a caricature of like aspects of who I am. And I sometimes have a hard time like keeping a straight face and keeping myself from laughing. And that's when I think of something where I'm like, oh man, that's a ridiculous line to say. And I hate listening to myself, and I can't listen back to podcasts that I'm on or anything else. I've been listening back to the guided ruminations, and sometimes I'm like, oh, that's pretty fucking funny, actually. So I'm excited about that. So it's a new
does
thing
it gotten better? Because I think we all hate what we sound like at first, but after a while, you kind of get used to it. I don't know if that's just me or. Yeah,
I'm more numb to it. Like I heard Bert Kreischer, who I love, by the way, and Tom Segura, who
he's the best.
I just told Bert to follow you the other day. We were DMing, but anyway,
man, that's so cool. I forget that you're buddies with those people.
He was in Psychonautics as well.
That's right. I was too. I forgot I was in that too.
I've only talked with Tom Segura through the internets, and mostly only to tell him to make sure and
watch for WASPs,
pain medication.
To what? To watch out for pain medication.
He posted something about how he hadn't taken a shit in 3 days or something when he had his injury, and I was like, this is nothing to joke around about.
Yeah, like, check out the foot breaking episode. I think that's episode 17 or something.
You do not want to learn this lesson the hard way. Believe me, I almost died from a poop. But
he messed up his arm and knee bad, and there's like a 10-second clip of it you can probably find easily.
Having that recorded.
Yeah, he just slips, and then like his instinct is to, try to break the fall with his hand or something. There's a surgeon that breaks it down better than I am right now, but as a result of that, then falls on his hand, so then just breaks the right half of his body entirely. And Bert's there, and Bert's like such a good friend and does everything right and gets him to the hospital, and it's a whole thing. But
yeah,
those two are fun. I like them a lot.
Yeah, me too. So in terms of 2022, or 2021, how was, we kind of, for the listeners, we delegate quite a bit of respect.
Delegate is good. We don't delegate. We delegrate.
Yeah, we have our editor, Matt McCool, who just does an incredible job editing things. And if you don't follow us on Instagram, by the way, that'd be the place to go to see all of the fun. Because even if you listen to the episode, you might want to see the fun additional visual stuff.
Yeah, and there's stuff that we don't post on our individual stuff that is on the Mind Under Pod. So if you want the true experience of like all the clips, all the animations and everything, that's only on the Mind Under Pod instead.
Yeah. And so Ramin, obviously, usually we both like hash out ideas for an art piece. Obviously, he's the one that makes it. How much of a pain in the ass is it to do a piece of, or is it nice to have an idea and to have like a direction for a piece?
It's kind of nice.
I like every week.
I would be, if I only had that, I would probably be unsatisfied because then I wouldn't have the freedom to put out a whatever. But I like the having to do it. Like there's a deadline every week. There has to be an image associated with this episode that we have to come up with the idea for it. Or sometimes it's just you've had the idea for it and I just make that idea for it. And I like that.
Yeah, it can be really fun to work within constraints. It's one of the things that I like about putting together the themes, because then I've constrained. I mean, constrained, you could just as easily say work in a focused way. Of course, I say constrained because I view everything as just like
intention,
some horrific suffering that I'm experiencing. But I remember
abundance
doing
is a problem.
Yeah, it can be. I remember doing these stupid, silly little commercials for Comedy Central. Comedy Central had this fucking great thing that they did where they like paid comics like
$25.
It was like a decent amount of money for a comic to make, and it was like, and you got to be on Comedy Central, but it was like a tiny, so it was like $5,000 or something like that. You're writing and acting in a fucking commercial. A whole commercial. Like you do the whole thing. I mean, they set up the film crew and everything. It was such a fucking crazy scam. And like I was happy to do it. But anyway,
we talking late 2000 or early 2000s, like 2009 or something.
Yeah, something like that. And so I had to do, like, I did one on car safety and like the constraints of having to write jokes about car safety. I had to do one about bacon for Burger King. And it was like to think of bacon jokes that Jim Gaffigan didn't already do.
Oh, yeah.
Is like, and you kind of sound like Jim Gaffigan a little bit, especially at the time. People would say, like, you sound like Jim Gaffigan.
No, he's done all
Fuck
the food.
You.
Like the way that Chappelle has all the trans stuff covered. He has his food. He has all the food stuff covered.
But there's something like, it's incredible in certain circumstances, like what your mind can generate when given and then there's such a tricky balance between giving yourself a focused task that inspires but then like we've talked about so many times on the show, having to do something. That's the tricky thing with this show, is we have to, like, we have deadlines. We have stuff that we need to stay on top of, and it's every single week, and it's like a little bit of a grind, and it doesn't, those aren't things that I do well with generally. I don't do well with grinds. I don't do well with schedules. I tend to be get the most out of like 3 amazing weeks of inspiration, and that pays for my year, as I'm just a sad sack for the next 3 months afterwards. And so to have something that I just regularly have to think of and create, and then you have to make an art piece for and everything, it's been my only anxiety about it has been that I will experience anxiety about it eventually. Why? Like I just fear that like repetition for me doesn't, like, I don't know. I just have the story that I tell myself that I can't form like stability in my life in any facet of it, and that I'm just like always not even in like always bad, sometimes I'm just like crazy into pickleball or stand-up paddleboarding or good things as well, or I like fall
prone
crazy
to
in
obsession.
Yeah
Prone to obsession is good. And with scheduled stuff, I was thinking about how it's all about how you brand it, because the way Seinfeld says, don't break the chain. Like if you don't miss it a day, you're breaking the chain. And I don't like the visual of a chain. That sounds like imprisonment. But when I think of it in terms of rhythm, like stay on the one, don't miss the one, do whatever you want for the rest of the week, but give me that one. So art on Monday, art, like keep it on that.
Yeah.
That's I think, James Brown said that to Bootsy Collins, if I haven't already said that little story, but he's teaching him about funk and how funk is all on the one of the beat. And then he told Bootsy that do whatever you want for the rest of those beats, but just give me that one, son. That's all I want. Just as long as you stay on that first one, then it's all good.
Yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like we crushed it, and so I just
number one product in the nation.
I just like now it's just I feel like it's all been testing, getting the quality up, getting the routine, because a lot of people love binging things so much that you need to, unless you're like the new hot podcast about a serial killer that's a one-off series or something like that, usually you're not going to take off within the first 10 episodes or whatever. People want to binge, so they find you 40 episodes in or whatever and then go back to the beginning. And so this is a good time because it's like, it's before it's an overwhelming number. It's a perfect number of episodes to binge, but it's not an overwhelming number of episodes where it's like, oh, I can't go all the way back to the beginning.
But maybe it's like we can become like Star Wars or Doctor Who, where there's just lots of it, but there are people that want to know everything about the universe.
Yeah. And it keeps on expanding.
What if the honey bear has kids? Like Agave has a kid with Agave or something.
Honey cub?
Yeah, honey cub.
Oh, honey cub. That's a genius idea.
We'll have a shower for it.
How adorable would a honey cub be?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You need to make a honey cub.
A honey cub?
Sure.
Honey cub pins?
That might be the episode art.
Oh yeah, for this one. It could be having champagne, or it could be trying to drink champagne, and then the parents are like, no, not yet. Wait till you're 3, because honey bears only live to 6. That's sad. Oh, the honey bear's gonna die one day. That's gonna be sad. But it's okay.
I love that we get to keep expanding and building, because either of our individual podcasts is a lot of reintroducing your core beliefs or who you are to the guest, to, like establish this, like where you're coming from, where this question is coming from, and you're forming a new relationship every episode. There's tons of value in that. I love it. I love my podcast. Here we are. I know you love doing Rainbow Brain Skull when you get around to it. And that is, but that's, it's to be able to build on ideas and to be able to, even though like I knew from the beginning, it's funny because I told Ramin, I was like, hey, when we are like, oh, I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Like, just don't say that. Let's just talk. Who cares if we've mentioned it in the past and forgotten or whatever? There's new listeners or people want to rehear things and we're reframing it. That's what I told Ramin. And then like that very episode, I was like, I don't know if I've mentioned this. It's just that impossible habit to break.
We just don't want people to think we have dementia. And I think I've said that before.
But yeah, and it's fun to get to build these worlds. It's fun to get to add new, like we think of new ideas all of the time, new ways of marketing things, new ways of coming up with highlights, and like we're gonna start adding quotes in our like carousels on Instagram. We have these carousels when we release a new episode, which, as far as I can tell, is different than any. I don't see other podcasts doing carousels with like art and then highlights and other and descriptions and other
a charcuterie plate, a quote, a video, piece of art, a picture of us on vacation. Check this out. What if we experimented in 2022 with very fringe social medias? Like, I don't know, we start putting stuff on Vimeo or Friendster, or this is a stupid idea. Maybe it's not worth the time, but just like the least popular
MySpace page.
Yeah, if you can even still post stuff.
Man.
I think it's just a crappy Yahoo search engine now or something. They bought it, gutted it, and no one ever went there again. MySpace is such a
kind of funny.
Yeah, like everyone.
It would be funny, and well, everyone else is doing like we should get crazy into the metaverse. Well, everyone else is just pure hatred. We should praise Mark Zuckerberg.
Zuck, yeah, we'll start calling him Zuck. Yeah, so Zuck was telling me.
Just go the other way.
Did you see the barbecue sauce thing where he was talking about metaverse and there's just a little bottle of Baby Ray's barbecue sauce on the shelf? And no one knew why there was barbecue sauce just sitting there in the background. And someone commented that he's trying to pretend what to be a human being and just did a little bit of research. And I think they eat this. And then, okay, yeah, put that object there. But there's no reason there should be a barbecue sauce there.
I loved when he was like wakeboarding with the American flag or whatever. That was a Zuck highlight of the year. This is just going to be a Zuck show. We should just dig into the Zuck and talk
Jack
about
Dorsey.
his life.
Well, this outfit's been going nuts this whole time. I'm a New Year's unicorn now.
I've enjoyed it. Here's a thing that we're going to get hate for. I do like the unicorn looks kind of good. I'm a Jack Dorsey. I'm a Jack Dorsey guy.
He's good. I don't know much about him other than he's very low energy, and I stopped eating breakfast in 2011. I realized I didn't need it, and I wasn't hungry when I didn't have breakfast.
Yeah, he's like peculiar and kind of zen, and seems like pretty thoughtful. And I don't know, at the beginning of COVID, he donated like 1/4 of his wealth to COVID relief stuff.
Oh, nice. What's his criticism? Because he didn't block Trump soon enough or something? I don't know, other than being rich and a tech bro.
Well, I think now is like, you don't want like it's the censorship of the this and that, and it's like it's like a fair point. These are all like,
you can't win with that. It's such a tough call because, like, you can't have it be the Wild West, and also if you censor everything, that also upsets people. I don't know what the answer is.
It's a business that can get sued. Like, if you spread fucking poor information that gets like, there's people on TikTok that have so workplace vaccine mandates are in some aspects working quite. I'm not a like pro. I don't know how I feel about mandates one way or another. I think it causes a lot of problems as well, but regardless, it's a fucking subjective, they're human laws. Everyone gets their own take on those. They're not biological laws or whatever. And so, but there's a thing that's started happening on TikTok where, because people are having to get the vaccine to keep their employment in places, I understand that people have a problem with that, but because people are reluctantly getting the vaccine, there's now grifters are like, here's how to get the vaccine out of you. And you can like
drinking
take
bleach
this
or something.
bath in this fucking weird shit that fucks you up, and that will get rid of like the electromagnetic this and that, and like you know, like if you're a platform and you just allow that shit to happen, then someone dies in their fucking radioactive bathtub because of some crazy shit that you certainly don't let people put like child porn or something on these social media platforms. Everyone seems to understand that it's not like it's lawless.
Yeah.
There's obviously standards. And so it's just,
we haven't even seen what it
of,
looks like to not have, have it be completely free. It would just be a hellscape. But I don't know.
I think it turned into that. The what was the
4chan?
No, the other one that happened when the Patriot takes or whatever.
I missed that one.
There was some Twitter that when Trump got banned, there was a new kind of Twitter that tried to get established. So it was like Patriot takes or something like that.
Remember the day that he got banned?
I guess it got awful.
The day it got banned, we were playing code names on Zoom with Michael Phillip and Michael Garfield and Colin Frangisetto, and Michael Garfield had been avoiding social media all day, and he thought we were kidding or something. I'm like, no, they stormed the Capitol and Trump got banned. And he's like, what? The one day I miss Twitter is...
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah, January 6th. He just took a day off from it and missed that whole ordeal. I thought that was funny. Was
that's
that a
one
New Year's
thing
resolution?
I'll say about Biden. I'll say something positive just to upset more people. Is like, oh my God, to not have to have someone like getting attention every day, like monopolizing all of what's on the, like, if you're reporting on Biden and anything that he's doing every single day, that's on you. Like if you're keeping up with what he's up to,
what's he done?
You're digging. I don't have a single idea of anything Joe Biden has said or done, and I love that. Oh man, I'm sure he's been incredibly ineffective and has made all sorts of mistakes, but I don't know about him. I don't need to wake up every day fucking getting up to speed on it.
Yeah. All I know is that the only criticisms I've heard are gas prices and Let's Go Brandon. That's the only two things I know of this past year.
I'm fine with the Let's Go Brandon thing too, by the way. It's like, people can have jokes.
Yeah,
they want
a
thing. They can have their thing. Yeah. It was sort of funny. It was like funny to have a news because the origins, right?
They were saying fuck Joe Biden, and then they said no, we're not saying that. We're saying Let's Go Brandon. There's a race car driver or something named Brandon. Yeah.
That's sort of funny. Yeah. Just say that I'm okay. I'm totally okay with it. Yeah. That's a solid. That makes the cut in solid jokes. I mean, there's only so much you can tell the same joke over and over and over again, but I think we're not there yet. I think we got a little more Let's Go left. I'm okay with it. Everyone should get to like mock a little bit and have their and blow off some steam and have their thing.
Yeah. What a weird, like, it's 8 years of a very old president.
It is. You think he's going to get another 4?
No, I don't think he'll run again, but I'm saying Trump was, 78 or something.
Oh,
so we had this really old guy, and then we have a even older guy afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe next one will be, like, I don't know, weird. The Rock or Buttigieg or something.
Who is the last person you mentioned?
The gay mayor guy that was, what else is there about him? I don't know what else there is about him other than his last name is Buttigieg and he's gay and he's a mayor, and that's all I know about him.
Not up to speed. Man, I don't follow.
I was following the 2020 Democrat primaries back when there was like 30 people on the stage, like it was Slipknot or Wu-Tang Clan or something. There was so many people running for president. There was like Cory Booker, Andrew Yang, Kamala Harris, Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg, Biden, Elizabeth Warren. It was packed.
You can name so many.
Yeah, there was a lot of them. And then they started dropping off, and then it became, I don't know what it became, but then I didn't think it would become Biden, but it should have been obvious. He had the most speaking time.
I think that I don't know. I feel somewhat hopeful for 2022. I think that change is really hard, and like all of this has been a scary situation for a lot of people, and I think people will just start getting used to things. Like they got used to seat belts, and they got used to not being able to smoke inside, and realize like, oh yeah, actually it does make sense. And of course there's a knee-jerk reaction against it in the beginning, and I don't know, I'm relatively like I didn't like all of 2021. Like people are telling themselves a story. They think this is over. You're fucking crazy. Like that's not what. Actually, I should take that back. You're not. I didn't think people are crazy for thinking that.
What's the correct term? You're nuts.
It's nice to have access to actually getting to talk with scientists a bunch, and then scientists are so they have to teach fucking hungover freshmen all the time, so they're just so patient. And they'll like accept any stupid question, and they're just used to that. And I'm not used to that. I have the curse of knowledge of like getting a taste of some of what they tell me, but I don't have the training to have the patience with people that don't know. So I just like, why don't other people understand the fucking thing? That's a thing I'm trying to work on. That would be a good.
I mean,
would be a good one.
Do you get impatient with people off of Twitter? Because I think Twitter, like where in family stuff, or where do you interact with them?
Family stuff. Like, you know, I have this friend that I kind of cut out of my life that I've talked about on here, that like when his life declined, and with it he got sucked into conspiracy stuff after 9/11, and since that he's just gotten like way more into conspiracy stuff, and then all the conspiracy stuff ends up leading to like
lizard people,
but also like white power shit eventually. Like that's a
like
big
pro white power or anti white power. Yeah,
no, pro. It goes that direction a lot.
Like lizard people played with our DNA and made the whites the best DNA, and then made the other ones the
and it's a lot of like having to stand up for our like genes and this and that, and like it's fucking crazy. And I just couldn't handle it. I tried to be like a good friend and talk him down from stuff. And
isn't that funny? That used to be virtue signaling like hundreds of years ago. Like, well, we don't want to dilute the gene pool. Like, that was a virtue signal.
Yeah. Oh, you want to dilute the gene pool?
I'm watching. Have you seen The Nick? With Clive Owen?
No.
It's about this. It's about a hospital 100 years ago. And so it tackles a lot of stuff like that, where, you see the open conversations about eugenics, and like, it's a new study and we're very invested in it. And it's brilliant and that kind of thing. And the hospital is struggling to have electricity. And it just makes you so grateful for what we have now, because it's rough.
Oh, I mean, I took in 2020 in the fall semester, I took 3 different classes with professors that I like. Well, and one of them was Robert Sapolsky, my favorite scientist in the world. Took an exceptionally advanced level. It's just like 16 students or something. I asked him if he was teaching any classes. He's like, well, I have one that you're not going to be able to follow along with, but I guess you can. And I was like, all right, like I just like hearing you talk, if pick up on some words. And like if I would have been tested, I would have failed the class. The prerequisite knowledge that you would need to understand what was going on was incredible, but it was inspiring. It was inspiring to hear a bunch of young people like hashing out what's going on with Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and stuff like that. And if people actually knew what was the conversations that were going on, to like, people intrinsically motivated to help humanity, like it should be a source of pride for a lot of people. And just to be able to sit in on a little bit of that is like, and be in awe of it, like, holy shit, thank God someone's figuring this out, because I would never be able to. And and it really is. I was thinking about that today. I was not that, but I was thinking about what you said just now, which is just, it was almost making me feel like, is this a simulation? Like, in certain ways, we are so shockingly lucky to be able to be here with the technology that we have and the science, like where it is right now. Flawed. It's a lot of it's going to look ridiculous in 100 years, of course, but humans have been around for 200,000 years. There'd be like 50,000 years that would go by where they like picked up a couple tricks.
Yeah.
Compared to the rate in which we can learn to manipulate life. And yeah, there's unexpected problems that come along with that, but we also figured that shit out. We know that now. Like, humans didn't know that you could, if you like ran a bunch of woolly mammoth off of a cliff, they would eventually go extinct. They didn't have any idea, It's just like, that's the easy thing to do. You do that, you eat the meat, you leave the piles of woolly mammoth that you don't eat behind, whatever. Like, why would you behave any differently than that?
Yeah. And in the Nick, they hadn't even figured out blood transfusions yet. One of the episode arcs is like they're trying to figure out how they can correctly transfuse blood. So that's another thing you don't even think about, that we just have taken for granted, that you can get a blood transfusion. Which, to even attempt that seems mad to even try that out in the first place.
All of this stuff is so against every intuitive thing that is inside of our intuition. You can learn to rock climb, and you're like, oh, intuitively you don't pull with your arms so much.
You don't? Shit.
No, intuitively you pull with your arms too much. You need to change. You need to retool your habits and intuition, so you use your legs more. And that's just like, so much of life is like that, where it's just so many, you learn anything, I'm sure it's the same with music, where there's an odd thing that's a little counterintuitive at first.
I'm not that much of a singer, but I know with singing, a lot of people are coming from the throat, and it's all about the core and like the diaphragm, and like have it come from here. Last Christmas, a Christmas.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, but I did just watch this Counterpoint. I just watched this some docuseries thing about human behavior, and there was a deaf person that's an incredible singer.
Oh, I gotta hear this.
She actually has to feel her throat every time.
Can you hear the deafness, or can transcend it?
She uses a what are the things called that measure your tone or whatever? So she dials it in each time,
she corrects with it. Oh, cool.
And then she marks areas on her throat for like different notes, because they change each time, and the time of the day and stuff. So she has to always be changing
Was she
like
born
what
deaf?
she does with their throat. I don't think so.
That's so interesting to
Send
want
it
to do
you
that.
when I figure out what that is.
Like, because I know there's vibrations and stuff that you would still feel, but and maybe it's more about getting it out than producing something and saving it onto a hard drive and uploading it onto SoundCloud and getting little hearts next to it. But it's interesting to be deaf and then you want to be a singer and make songs. But
yeah,
they've got a song in their heart. As Maya Angelou says, the bird doesn't sing because it wants to fuck. It wants to sing because it has a song in its heart. Was that Maya Angelou or that's someone else? Who cares?
Yeah, Maya Angelou used to talk about it fucking quite a bit, I think. There's...
You know her origin, or not origin story, but did you know that she was assaulted or raped at 4 or something like that? Some very young age. God. And she wished that her rapist would die, and then the rapist died, was killed, or I forget. Basically, her wish came true, and she was so afraid of that. She thought she had the power that she never spoke for like another year or two. She just didn't speak ever again.
Whoa.
And then that's her incubation period for becoming like the greatest poet of all time.
I wish I could think of the name of this movie because I want to give them props. There was this documentary when I released Psychonautics at this like little film festival in LA and got to win this award because I have fans that came to see it, and other documentarians just had like 15 people show up that were in the festival or whatever. But I watched all of the other documentaries, and there's this fantastic one. Maybe it'll come to me. But it was about this weird kind of cult that popped up, I think in Philadelphia. I want to join it because it's so strange. So I'll just tell you my memory of it. So it's this black dude that like started like an offshoot religion and cleaned up like these rough areas and turned them. It was like a huge like taught people in this neighborhood to support themselves and everything else and support their own businesses and built up and did this area in like Brooklyn like really well and became, you know, this really respected person. And he got like further and further into this religion that he was building that was it started becoming influential at the time. Gosh, I hope it comes to me. But anyway, when he started kind of getting a little out of control after a while, like tends to happen with every fucking cult person, he just started taking it a little too far. God, how many times do we got to hear this story?
You're starting a religion/cult? Oh, cool. It's probably going to turn out
good at first,
swimmingly.
bonds people, you meet people, they're helpful and charitable, and then what do you know? So he ends up, I think he actually said that he's God. I think that was his thing. He was like, I am God, like, or something like that, or the new Jesus, something like that. And some judge ended up putting him in jail for something or other. So it was still like fringy. Everyone's like, this guy's kind of crazy. And they put him in jail for something or other, like false, this and that. And he said in jail that he's like, I'm going to pray that you die. And then the judge died the next day from like a heart attack or something like that. And then he just, people are like, what the fuck? So then he just got this huge following because people are, as we've learned during the pandemic, not the best at putting together like correlation and causation and stuff like that. It's this incredibly kind of random, interesting thing that happened. Well, in their religion, they cannot die. If you're a practitioner of this, you cannot die. So he starts building this thing, and they're getting all of this property everywhere. A bunch of it's in Pennsylvania, this huge amounts of, and like almost like castles. But you can't die. Well, he has died. And so they get together, and there's just like an empty seat where that was a seat. And they just talk to this empty seat like he's still alive and stuff. And they like play old recordings
of the
things
of the founder.
Yeah. And I'm like blown away. My fucking documentary won this award. I'm like, this other documentary was way better than mine, and no one was ever going to see it. I wish I could remember the name. I'll post it when I think of it.
It didn't even make it to the remembering name part of your memory. Not only is it not at Sundance or at
you gotta do something special to make it to the remembering name part of my memory. That's speaking of globalizing specific failures and making them part of your identity. Here's the grift that I want to get in on. So there's like this. So it's small
mom focus
now.
pills.
They have all these like properties, and they don't have much of a following anymore. And whenever someone dies, because death can't be a thing, and they're like, some of the people running it just like scoop up the corpse and like go and take it somewhere, and then that's just like an empty seat that's there, and you like talk to their spirit and stuff, and they can't die, like no one dies. Well, legally no one knows what the hell to do, because there's all this property that's owned by a dead dude, and like it's kind of owned probably by his like second wife who's still alive and like on her way out. And after she dies, no one knows whose property this actually is, based on like the reality of our current like legal system and stuff. And because they don't believe in death, they don't make wills or anything. They don't pass anything on, because that would be accepting that you can die. So theoretically, if you're just a member of this church, you'll just get like a castle in Pennsylvania one day. And so I gotta look in. I'm glad that I'm not remembering it, because I'm gonna look into that so we can have a mom castle.
you get it as a member of it, being the next in line after.
No one knows what happens to this property. And there's not that many people there, and anyone can join this church. That was like my take. That wasn't what the film was about. That was just my takeaway of like, wait a second, this is interesting.
So the castle's still there.
Anyone can join this. There's a castle that no one owns that you can just stake a claim on. Huh. And I'm just seeing this documentary that may not ever be anywhere, that I'm seeing 15 other people watch right now, that maybe other people aren't putting together the same connections that I am.
That'd be great if you made
a mom castle so bad.
Yeah, that'd be great if you somehow weaseled your way into the castle and then made a doc about that, and then that wins an award instead of the actual doc, which you got the inspiration to go grab the castle from.
And then we get that castle money from the doc by our own castle.
I'd love to own a property, like, you know, like a big thing.
I never wanted to be an adult until COVID happened. I'm like, oh yeah, like be in a place, own a thing, have stuff. I'm enjoying getting into a workout routine. So it's like that's the hard thing for me this year is in terms of setting goals, because even though most New Year's resolutions fail, mostly because people bite off more than they can chew and yada yada, but we discussed this in the first several episodes of the podcast, which, by the way,
should we have a New Year's resolution for mom, not as us, but as an entity?
I think as an entity we should
like get Oprah to comment on a post or something, or aim higher.
Well, I think that we're working on this app. We got to put out a mum book and have a tour, and those are 3 like pretty medium-sized goals that we already have everything together to be able to do, other than building the app will require more work.
I'd like one resolution that is within our control and one that is not. So building an app, doing a tour, making a book, that's in our control. We get to choose whether we make it. Getting Oprah or someone to do a thing, that's not in our control. Winning the Potty Award, if that exists.
Okay, so let's use this kind of regularly. The dude from Hedonic Health reminded me of this, but it's been I've heard this on Here We Are and stuff, which is SMART goals. You've heard of SMART goals?
That's ones you can control.
Measurable, obtainable, relevant, and time-based. So make your goal specific and narrow for more effective planning.
One more time. Specific.
Measurable. Define what evidence will prove you're making progress.
What's
and
the A?
Reevaluate when necessary. Attainable. Relevant.
Ooh, relevant.
And time.
What's relevant?
Your goals should
like not culturally
should align with
relevant.
Your values and long-term objectives.
Okay.
Attainable is make sure you can reasonably accomplish your goal within a certain time frame, and then time-based is set a realistic, ambitious end date for the task prioritization.
I like the SMART goals. So
motivation.
So spanking a flamingo with a badminton racket is not relevant. It is a goal, but it's not relevant to any of the rest of my life.
It's specific, it's measurable, it's attainable, and it's time-based.
But it's not relevant
this year. It's not relevant, but
it's smack.
You
it's
just kind
goal.
of made it relevant, though.
Oh, okay.
Like, because you said it during the podcast, so now it's like attached to the podcast. So if we actually spank a flamingo with a what?
A badminton racket, or dip my balls in food coloring or something. It's not relevant, but it is because it's me. But so is the badminton.
And you just tell people that you did it, or
no. I'll take a live photo. So, man, I didn't know my phone was taking live photos. That's on an iPhone where it like makes a little 2-second GIF. So all my Yosh photos are now mini videos. It's the best surprise I've had all year because my phone is just Yosh photos. That's all I take pictures of.
Yosh is great. Yosh is the cat, by the way.
Yeah, the people know. He's been on the show before. He's walked across. He has not walked across this desk yet.
How's he liking the new
He
place?
loves it. He approves 100%.
So we have. So I think a specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-based. I think the things that I mentioned are all those things we have. I mean, I think the app is like the foggiest, but we already have a lot of goals set for that. We just don't know everything that goes into making an app necessarily.
At least not in today's world. But I think today's world is maybe not easier to get relevance as a new and noteworthy app, but it's way easier to publish something, I bet. So
yeah, but once we have this app, I'm gonna get on every fucking thing promoting it and whatnot. It'll be so easy.
oh man, if we get on
like,
Oprah with it. What if I spank the flamingo with a badminton racket while dipping my balls in food coloring, and then Oprah likes that video? That would be the ultimate relevant clip.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I mean, I think that for there's me, Ramin, and Matt McCool and Rihanna Banana, Hippie Witch on Instagram. I think for all of us to be able to make a living off Mind Under Matter by the end of 2022 is a pretty ambitious, smart goal. I don't think that we're kind of on track for that. I'm loving that we've stuck with the Patreon thing. I honestly after I listened to some podcasts recently and listened to the 4 ads and stuff that it just feels like a better way to, rather than...
Mind Under Matter is brought to you by Athletic Greens. Now, normally in the morning, I'm low energy, and I'm always looking for healthy alternatives to Slim Fast or, just
so
a Nesquik.
Crazy.
That's why I love Athletic Greens.
Like the amount of money that you get from someone going to Athletic Greens and putting in your code because they're trying to support you is like just pay for the amazing bonus content that we have on Patreon. You don't need to buy some fucking dopey supplement product to help support us. You can just get more of our awesome content and support us at the same time.
It's tough for some people. Like giving $5
I get that
a month is like a hurdle for some and for others not. And it's weird because I support some Patreons that I haven't checked in like a year, but I don't want to unsubscribe it because that's mean. I don't want to take away the $5 and I don't miss the $5, so I'll just keep giving them the $5. But
yeah, if you're averse to subscriptions, which by the way, say it's not like when you get a subscription to Disney or whatever, and then you forget to not renew it, and now Disney's just raking in like an extra billion because you didn't renew. Like so many people didn't just haven't taken the time to cancel their subscription. Worst case scenario, you don't cancel your subscription to Mum when you maybe should. Like you're supporting 4 poor people that work super hard to put together awesome stuff. But if you're averse to that, just write the Mind Under Matter social page or Ramin and I, just DM us, and I'm sure we can just send you a PayPal link or something like that for a one-time donation. But who cares? The goal is for all of us to be able to make an actual living off of this, so that the other things that we do are bonus. That would be a super ambitious goal. I think that we could do it this year. I feel like we could. I'm gonna be disappointed. We're halfway where I want to be on Patreon, but halfway where we want to be is halfway toward a super ambitious goal.
Yeah, it's very ambitious,
and we're doing really good. I'd say we're doing very good.
We're doing great.
So,
has they made a dumb goals? Let's see if we can do that really quick. So
that's what I want to do. Something that's not smart.
So
So it's not specific. It's not measurable. It's not attainable.
D specific.
This is the exact problem with when you take the picture of the mountain and put some beautiful quote of just be kind. I'm not being cynical when I say that shit doesn't work. It's not specific. It doesn't mean anything.
I just crumble up my latest drawing.
You can't. I'm sorry.
What if I had one that's queued up, be kind, and it's got a gray guy spewing a rainbow
I'm sorry,
on a town. I love that one art you did with the gray guy that's spitting a rainbow out on the town and it says be kind. It made me be kind that day. No one hates my art more than I do. Just kidding. It's great.
I love your art. I'm your biggest fan. Yeah, that does. I didn't think about your art when I was saying that because
No, I just like roasting myself.
Yeah. So, but the point is that like for all of the well intentions that we might have with like platitudes and various New Year's resolutions, it's not a bad thing to have mantras and to feel good and to have to build these like core parts of your identity at all. But that's different than setting a New Year's resolution goal that will actually be successful, and hardly any of them are. And I do think specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-based are the way to go. So if we want to do the opposite of that, it would be vague, immeasurable, can't possibly do it, irrelevant, and open-ended, basically.
Oh.
So it would be like, but it would be like it's kind of like just saying that we want mom, because I say stuff like this all the time. I think we're the best. Like I think we put out some of the highest quality content that exists. We're a new podcast. A lot of people haven't discovered us yet.
Yeah, and how many murders can you listen to? How many? Right. How many chimp ball can you listen to?
Especially with the pairing of the visual stuff. I mean, you'd be hard pressed. There's some people that add, like Theo Vaughn, that add some like that have some people add some animation to some of like. I mean, first off, Theo Vaughn's fucking hilarious.
And he's in his own lane.
He's in his own lane, and then you add animation on top of that. That's the kind of like bar that we're at ish in terms of like a visually presented pod. No one else is like has a creator of the podcast also making the art. No.
Yeah. I love that Theo Vaughn
we're in our own world.
I love that Theo Vaughn gets dinner with the Peterson family. I would have loved to be there to listen.
Yeah.
The conversations they have. It's such two completely different people, but also get along.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I was chatting with Theo recently. I won't say any more than that.
Damn, that was going to be good. Check out the Patreon to hear about the new Theo conversation.
Theo's great, but anyway, it's hard to find something in what we're doing. There might be things that are more appealing to a given individual, but find a podcast that's as funny with as much visual stuff and blah blah blah. Hard pressed. So that's an idea of like us being like, we want Mind Under Matter to be the best. We're just gonna be the best. It's like there's nothing specific about that. There's no way to measure. It's definitely not attainable. Relevant, maybe, like it helps to be better or popular or something like that. In time-based, like if you aren't putting a deadline on it or any, like we want to be the best by.
Yeah, we'll just say we want to be the best.
Year.
Don't even specify mom or specify you or me. Just we want to be the best. That's the goal.
We're just gonna be the best.
When?
Just the best.
The best. That's when. That's a dumb goal. Decentralized, unmeasurable, best.
Yeah, yeah. Bastardized.
I need Zach
maybe.
here. I can't do acronyms.
Magic? No. I don't know. Well, one goal is to come up with better acronyms in a faster amount of time in 2022.
Yeah.
But with that,
that'd be cool if this is a good year, you know? That'd be great if 22 is a great year.
I'm kind of optimistic, and I think that I'm not overly prone to optimism. So when I say that I'm expecting good things in something, I think that some people's ears ought to perk up and be like, well, that's unusual.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, with that, this has been cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers. Wait.
Successful.
I don't have my thing. Where is it?
And thanks everyone for supporting us on Patreon. By the way, don't feel a sense of guilt because you're too broke to support us on Patreon. We love putting this content out. We love that we inspire people to support us on Patreon and are able to do a bunch of awesome bonus. Oh, by the way, I actually need to mention a couple things about Patreon because we're reassessing a couple of things. One, couple bugs came up recently. Turns out that if you use like Internet Explorer or something like that, sometimes you aren't seeing when we post a new.
Oh, we just found
episode.
Our first lunatic. I'll let whoever uses Internet Explorer come on as a lunatic without giving us a cent. That person's more insane than anyone.
Yeah, so use a different browser, please. So, I mean, there's no. We don't care if you watch our bonus content or not. We just want that sweet, sweet money.
Use
but
Netscape
I think it's
98.
in your interest. Yeah. And they're just throwing in that AOL 10 free hours.
Yeah.
They have a couple of those discs backed up. And then you're right that's kind of on them. Good New Year's resolution
Even
for them.
10 years ago, like when I was a web developer, I didn't have to support Explorer. It was like a standard that's like, well, it needs to run on Chrome, it needs to run on Opera, it needs to run on Firefox, Safari. Don't worry about Explorer.
Yeah.
Fuck on.
Do not worry about Internet Explorer. And so there's that. If you don't see updates like multiple times a week, we make those. So something's going wrong with your browser. So use a different browser. Don't use Internet Explorer. Second, we sent out a bunch of
Crimbus
holiday
cards.
Merry MUMmiverse cards. We had I had a fun time writing them. Ramin had a fun time putting the art together. And it was lovely to connect with it was great to get all of the feedback. And so we're also going to do we're going to be asking for your birthdays. So we're going to send out birthday cards each month as well.
We're going to ask for your social security number. We're going to set up a nice Roth IRA for you before the tax deadline and contribute the maximum amount. So just hand over those.
We know your address. We know your birthday.
We're going to ask for what
Next
street
year we're going to ask
on.
for your mother's maiden name. But I mention it because I don't like subscribing to alerts to things. I don't like things filling my inbox. So I would not blame you at all if you're a Patreon member. You just support us and you never pay any attention to our alerts. Yeah, good for you. But you might want to check in and send some of that info or whatever to take advantage of some of the special things that we're doing in the new year. And we're sending out a new message with some other updates like that. And other than that, just thanks for supporting, writing reviews. If you can't support the show, writing a review on iTunes is super helpful, not just in terms of boosting things and everything else, but we read every one of those reviews, and they're always so wonderful, and they always inspire us to keep doing more and better things. So,
or at least
thank
prevent
you
us
for
from
all of that.
ending it all.
Yeah, it prevents us from ending it all.
Yeah. And check this out.
So-
If you're listening right now, you can tell people 10 years down the line that, oh, I've been listening to Mum since 2021. And people will think,
Yeah.
2021? That's the year it started. You've been listening since the first year, and you go, yep. And then they're going to start squirting honey all over you. It's going to be great. The future rules, but not this future, the one in 10 years.
Oh, man. We should get honey in little honey cub things that we sell. Novelty honey items at our shows, in addition to all the other awesome. Is there a podcast that has better merch than us? I don't see how that's possible. You can go to
Rogan sells apes with
mindunderpod.com.
kettlebells, but we're second place.
That's actually kind of solid. Don't buy supplements from anybody, please.
Anybody? Are all of them bad?
Yeah. I wouldn't say that they're bad. I would say that
Placebo-y?
they're placebo-y. There's like there's deficiencies that one can have that so
what about magnesium from like Nature Health or whatever?
Yeah, so like the key is the word supplement and not alternative to or in replace of. So like I have growing up, anytime I went to my grandparents' place, they had like 30 different vitamins all the time, and you go there and you'd eat these chewable vitamins. Everyone needed their vitamins anytime around. The vitamins. They don't do it. Like, they don't exercise. They don't like. I don't know two people that have been in and out of a hospital more than these two people, and it's like it's so. Yeah, placebo effect, sure, do the thing if it works for you. Let's all find the placebo that works for us. But if you're taking them as a replacement for actually doing like just reasonable like nutrition and exercise and activity stuff that everyone knows works and is very well tested, then it's a little shady.
Yeah, we should save this for another episode because this one's wrapping up, but I'd love to hear what you have heard or talk to people about nootropics and what the deal with those are. Do nootropics work? What is a nootropic? How much can it trope your new? Will it help any more than like a little cup of coffee or something? But I don't know anything about it.
Little teaser. We will talk about that. Another little teaser. Turns out there's some data coming out. Microdosing may not really be a thing. Like past a placebo. Like
what? Even like with psychedelics?
Yeah. It turns out that like in controlled trials, it seems that microdosing doesn't seem to be doing too much of a thing. I think if it upsets your stomach and makes you think that it's working and stuff, it's going to help quite a bit more. But
damn,
megadoser for life. I've been saying this for a long time. I've even told, like, I'm a fan of science and scientists and psychedelics, and I've been in like conferences where people present their this and that about microdosing, and I've like told them to their face over and over again, like, I don't know. I don't know if that's like for real. I don't know if like it's just it's a cool way to get things legalized if they don't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, CBD or something like that, where like you don't need to worry about someone having a fucking Shane Mauss manic episode and ending up in a psych ward or something.
And when does it stop being a micro and becomes a regular dose?
Yeah.
So exactly. I don't know.
It's messy. we'll talk about it in a future episode. That will be a goal for this year, to talk about nootropics. And
we're gonna
really
tackle nootropics, gender. We're gonna get all over the place. We're gonna lose people.
Yeah,
gain people.
we got episodes like this coming. This is just gonna be like, we planned on just having some champagne and just kicking back and reflecting on the year a little bit and talking about some mum goals. But we have some stuff planned for the beginning of the year. They're related to these kind of goal setting things. Got a lot of feedback and questions from you guys. And in addition to that, we're going to do some mating stuff for a Valentine's Day episode.
Yeah.
Coming up. We're going to do another drinking one for St. Patrick's Day. We're going to and I have...
Maybe we should talk about the red hair trait too.
Ooh.
On Irish Day.
Yeah, that's good.
The recessive trait of red hair and freckles or whatever. That could be fun.
Yeah. Interesting. So, with that, cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Successful year.
May 100 more mum years be bestowed on our asses.
Should we do a countdown? I feel like
we should. To all the lonely folks at home with no one to kiss. Kiss the screen. You can only pick one of us, though. We're not poly yet.
Because of mum year. A mum year isn't... We aren't collie yet. A mum year isn't necessarily the same time as any other year, but you can watch this whenever you want. So, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy Mum Year! Have a too easy new year. Keep on salivating in 2022.